State Representative Rosemary Brown, and welcome to the Legislative Report. I'm in Pike County at the Collins Historical Museum, and with me today is Ray Weeks, the President of the Pike County Historical Society, and also Miriam Siegel, the Vice President of the Historical Society. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is my second trip to the Columns, and we are going to take a very detailed look through the museum. But before we do that, I wanted to speak a little bit about the Pike County Historical Society and what you have to offer to the local residents here. And there is a lot of history in Pike County, and I think more than what people are aware of. And I know there's a lot in this museum, more than what people are aware of. I know
it's crammed full of things.
It is, and when I came in, I was shocked to see some of what's here. And I think there's probably more out there that people have, which could also be part of, you know, bringing things into the museum that we're not aware of. But tell us a little bit about the Historical Society and how it got started.
Well, the society itself started in 1930, and it's a very active society. We have a very large board of directors, and there's about 15 of us right now. And we have an executive committee that does a lot of the governance, and it's very active. We have one meeting a month with the full board and one meeting a month with the executive committee. And then we have other committees like the finance committee, which does the budgeting and so forth, and analytical work on how the money's coming in and going out and so forth. We have about a dozen committees actually. And
what type of things on those committees? Let's say if somebody locally wanted to get involved in those committees, what type of things are discussed at those committees?
Yeah, that's a good question, because right now we're starting rejuvenating our library committee. And as a matter of fact, this week we open up our library at night, which is a new wrinkle in the library. And we're going to have you know, genealogical services and many things. Our library offers many things. The point is that we're going to open it on a Friday night with a wine and cheese reception.
Very nice.
To get people to know that we do have a library, number one. And number two, that it will be open at night.
Is that going to be consistent, or is that a one-time thing that you're going to try?
Yes, it will be
We're
consistent.
going to try to have it open.
We're going to
Consistent.
try to have it
One night a
open
week.
every Friday night, ongoing for as long as we can.
Nice.
Hopefully that'll be for a long
And Ray,
time.
how this library differs from the
Yes.
Pike County Public Library is this is totally concerned with Pike County history and personal genealogy, that people might want to track their
On their local roots.
Yes, their
Very
local
interesting.
roots. And I think it's going to prove to be an asset that we haven't had so far, so open to the public.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And a lot of people are finding that they're doing that now.
Yes, they are.
They're looking into their past and
Yes.
finding out where their family
That's
is from.
exactly
and-
true.
Right. So those are part of the things that are happening.
Yes, another committee would be the outreach committee, where we do a promotion and we try to tap into specific target markets in the area to reach them and get them interested in coming to the library for fundraising, for new membership, you know, for donations and so forth. The local community is very involved in supporting the library. You know, in addition to the state grants, there are local organizations that do help us quite a bit.
Right.
And some of the people around here are in a position to help us.
But some of the grants have dried up because of the financial times.
Right.
So
So you
we're
need
always happy
support.
to have more members.
Right.
You can join for as little as $25 a year, but we have special prices of a little higher, of $50 and higher, and we can always take greater amounts too.
Is there different membership?
Yeah, there are different membership
Types?
levels.
Okay.
But everybody gets the benefit.
The same benefit.
Yes,
Okay.
very good. Well, there might be a few little perks, but
Right.
everybody benefits from helping us, and it's helping themselves, really.
Right. Are there new horizons, or anything new on the horizon with the Historical Society? That
Yes, we need a new roof.
that
Yes,
I know.
that's
that
very
I do know.
important. Very important.
And I think that is important for people to understand when you talk about, it sounds insignificant, but when you look at if things are leaking and everything that's housed here, that is the history.
It could be destroyed
It
easily.
could be destroyed, and it's important that we do preserve that. So
Especially in
we
a
should look at
storm like this last weekend.
Right.
I don't know when this is going to be aired, but we had a tremendous hurricane residue here that all of New Jersey and parts of Pennsylvania and New York suffered.
Right. No, and I think, like I said, there's a lot of local history here. And is there anything maybe that we're not aware of that the Historical Society is looking at on a new project, or anything that's out there that's not already in the works?
A new project. Well, we do have a history on Smokey Joe Wood and Charles Peirce. Did you think of anybody else?
Charles Peirce is the famous pragmatist, and he's was actually from this area.
Really?
And can I think of anyone else? Well, on a different level, we have a lot of fundraisers that we try to do periodically, and we've had some excellent ones in the past. We've had fashion shows in historical costume, and with luncheons like an English tea type luncheon on the porch and in the upstairs here in this very room, and all kinds of nice social functions.
Right.
Like jazz. We have some local jazz people that are quite well known in New York City, and they come and they perform for us, and they bring their side members.
And they do that right here in the
right
museum?
here.
Yeah, downstairs
Yeah.
here at
Very
the
nice.
foundation
Yeah.
room, we call it. Yes.
Yeah, we just gussied up the foundation room, and now we call it the cellar, and it holds about 35 people, and the locals come and they listen to the music.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're constantly looking for new avenues to entertain the people,
Right,
to get them
right.
here.
What could you say from the local people? Anything else and any other way of support that they could be for the Historical Society besides joining as members? Is there anything that they could do?
Yeah, joining as members is a big one.
Yes.
Donations,
Coming to our events.
events.
How do they
yes.
find out about the events for the Historical
We
Society?
publish them pretty
Yeah.
regularly in the
Pretty regularly?
newspapers, on TV.
Do you have a website?
We have a
We
website.
have a website.
And we have an
what's the
email
web- what's the
blast with
website?
several hundred people on it.
that are on it?
Yeah. So before an event, we do a promotional event in the local, a 50-mile radius.
Okay,
And then we have an email blast, and it's pretty successful. Yeah,
Did you want to tell the audience of our website name?
The name of our website is Pike County Historical Society .org.
.org, and that's
Yes.
important. .org.
Yes.
.org.
.org.
Is there a Facebook? Do we know? Is there a
We
Facebook?
have
page?
Facebook
We're
too.
on the Facebook.
Yes.
So you can like it on your Facebook.
Yes, yes, you can be a friend of ours
Yes.
on Facebook.
Well, I always find that's the best way to get communication out is through the websites and Facebook now.
Yeah.
It seems people are in tune with that. So it's
They
They
are.
sure are,
That's
yeah.
very true. Very true.
Well, I think that we have some great information about the Historical Society and the possibility of people becoming members. We're going to start to take a little tour with Lori
Great.
through the
Okay.
museum and go through a few really specialty items that I think some people locally may not be aware of that
Absolutely.
you have here. So I thank you very much for your time. And
Thank
we're going to
you.
head off and see Lori.
Thank
Okay.
you, Rosemary.
Thank you, Rosemary.
We'll be right back after a short break as we continue our tour at the Pike County Columns.
Did you know that Act 16 of 1999 honors one of the greatest leaders in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives? The Matthew J. Ryan Legislative Office Building, once known as the Capitol Annex, is located next to the main Capitol building and honors the late Speaker of the House, Matthew J. Ryan. Those who visit this building will observe the magnificent architectural designs providing eloquence and grandeur to the building. Known as one of the greatest members in the history of the Pennsylvania State House, Matthew Ryan started his career in the legislature in 1963 and was elected Speaker in 1981. His charisma and knowledge will forever be reflected in the building now named after this great legislative leader. Now you know.
Welcome back. I'm State Representative Rosemary Brown, and you're watching the Legislative Report. We're back at the Columns in Pike County, and I'm with Lori Strelecki, of the director of the museum.
Yes, ma'am.
Lori is an expert of everything in this museum, and we're going to let you take us through, Lori. There's a lot in here.
Okay.
And
Well, first of all, thank you for coming. It's good to see you again.
I'm very happy to be here.
The first thing I'd like to tell you about is a little bit about the house itself, I guess, the house that we're in. It was built in 1904, and it was built for a man by the name of Dennis McLaughlin, who was from Hoboken, New Jersey, and he built this as a summer home. Now, his summer home has 22 rooms and 11 bedrooms, just like
Beautiful
yours.
summer home.
Yes, and mine. It's a little small. But he lived here for about 7 years before unfortunately passed away, and no one in his family wanted to maintain it. So it became many things over the years, and long about the 1980s, the Pike County Historical Society purchased it, and we made it the official Historical Society of Pike County. And one of our prize holdings here is known as the Lincoln flag.
Yes.
And it's the flag that was placed under Abraham Lincoln's head after he was assassinated at Ford's Theater. Now, when you look at it, you'll see that there's some stains on the flag. We know for a fact that it's human blood, and we also know that it's a contact stain, which means something that was bleeding laid upon it. We believe that bleeding thing was Lincoln's head. As you know, he was shot in the back of the head at Ford's Theater. He was in the presidential box. John Wilkes Booth came in and shot him. He fell to the ground. The whole place went into pandemonium, and nobody really knew what happened. The place, they tore it apart, and there were 2 flags of this size that were used as bunting or decoration around the presidential box. And the theater manager at the time, Thomas Gourlay, we believe he took this flag. When he died, he left it to his daughter, Jeannie. She was an actress in the play. She was in the wings when the assassination occurred. We actually have her gowns here on display sometimes.
Right.
And so she brought it to Milford when she married in 1888, and it's been in Milford ever since. When she died, her son then took possession of it, and he gave it to the museum in 1954. So we've had the flag in our possession since 1954. So that's usually the question is, how did it make its way to Milford? And that is how. The line of provenance makes sense. The line of possession makes a lot of sense. We know for a fact that, like I said, it's human blood. All the flags, the material is from the correct time frame. The dyes are correct to the time frame. So everything points us in the direction that this could be one of the very most important flags in history. And we're very proud to have it here in Pike County.
No, absolutely. And I think when I spoke to you the last visit, you had something with 9/11 as well, with the flag, this flag.
Yes.
And how did that work?
A piece of the stitching from this flag, which was on the bottom of the case when we opened it at one point to see, because the people, Jeff Parness from the 9/11 Foundation contacted us, and as you know, they're putting together this memorial flag, and they're using pieces of other flags that were significant in history. So we found a very small thread of the blue part of the flag, and they incorporated it into the 9/11 flag, and it actually appears on the 9/11 flag right in the corner of the blue in a white patch. So there's just a little piece of our blue from the Lincoln flag, and then a patch, and then where that blue field would be is where you'll see a piece of our flag when the museum opens next year.
Very nice.
So we're very proud. We had the ceremony here. Right before it came to us, I believe the flag was in Martin Luther King's family, had actually sewn on the flag prior to it coming here. So with the Lincoln connection and that whole thing, it kind of was very meaningful to have it be there before it was here. And I think it's making its very last stop in Missouri, I believe, which is right around this time now. So the flag will be incorporated into that flag, and the museum opens, I think, in September of next year, so everyone could then see.
It's really nice to see that.
Got
With
to
everybody's and also seeing
Yeah,
that
it was kind of-
this is part of it too.
I got a little verklempt when that whole thing was going on because it was very emotional for us.
No, absolutely.
It's very important, you know, kind of 2 tragedies in history kind of being.
Absolutely, being put together in one piece of memory.
Mm-hmm.
This is beautiful, and if people haven't seen this, it is really to see it personally. It's
Yes.
a big flag, and it's definitely worth a stop.
Absolutely.
If locally, and I think sometimes when you have things like this in your backyard, you often don't even realize it's there.
You'd be surprised how many people I meet, and you know, I live right around the corner. I've never been to that museum. I've lived here 20 years.
What's
I've
it
never been
like?
to your museum. I said, what the heck's wrong with you? Why don't you come in? You know, come and see us. We're here.
Right. There's a lot here, and I think this is like you said, one of the biggest things.
Yeah, this is a big attraction for us. A lot
That
of
you
people
have.
come specifically to see this, but
Right.
you know, we have 8 other rooms of exhibits that focus on the people, places, and things that have made Pike County what it is today, the history of it. And you know, some of them are a little bit offbeat, some are very interesting, some are more amusing to others
Right.
than to, you know, but there's something for everyone, I think, here.
Yeah. We're going to jump from item to item
Yep.
that you feel might be some key points to show
I've got to
people.
show you the
But
Audubon
there's a
birds,
lot.
so
Okay,
we're going to look at those next.
Let's head over and
All right.
peek at that. Lori, now we are beautiful here with these birds. Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at.
These could possibly be the oldest specimens of natural history in the United States. They came to the museum in this case, and they always kept them downstairs. And I had a little bit of history on them saying that they were Audubon's birds, which meant they were birds that Audubon killed or had killed specifically to be sketched for his books. Now recently one of his books sold for about $11 million at auction, and it was Audubon sketchbooks. And so I looked at some of the birds in the case with that information. It told me that they were from his Missouri River trips, would be about 1850 or so. But I looked at some of the birds, and obviously some of the birds are tropical. As you look at them, you could see some of them are a little bit older than that maybe. So I started researching Audubon and his works, and I found out that a taxidermist from Matamoros by the name of John Bell was a leading taxidermist in the area, and he also was a taxidermist and hunted with Audubon. He took him on all his trips because he was an expert marksman, so he was really good at not blowing the bird to bits, I would imagine, because they can't sketch him.
Sketch him right.
And they not only killed him for him, but he also, you know, stuffed him. So he was the best in this trade at the time. So I started researching some of the birds, and I found that one of the birds in this case was a passenger pigeon, which was extinct by the turn of the century from 1700 to 1800. So that would predate them another 50 years. So then I researched a little further and found out that Bell was actually a taxidermist for the Wilson Peale Museum, which was in Philadelphia, and it was the first museum of natural history that was in the United States of America. So when that closed, when Peale started doing sketch work, he became a portrait artist. So he took all these specimens that he had as a natural history museum, and kind of they all disappeared. We believe that Bell took these with him, and over the years his family put them into these cases. There's 2 more cases like this out there. But so these are possibly some of the oldest specimens of natural history, you know, that we know of, and we're kind of glad to have them. You could look at some of Audubon's sketchbooks, and you could tell that the Pleiadian woodpecker that's in this case is obviously the same one that he used for these sketches, and probably is the case with most of the birds in here. These birds are older than my board of directors.
There's probably, what, 35 birds in there?
Yeah, easily. And you know, we're
Easily.
trying to identify all of them through time. We've had kids come in. I tried cleaning them. The interesting thing is they were preserved with arsenic, so people don't recommend going in there and handling them.
Right.
But I went in and tried to vacuum the case out because it was very old and very dirty. I'm not scared. It's open right now. I'm
No.
exposing you to arsenic right now.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything.
There's some very interesting bird up there in the top right corner. That
That's a scrub jay.
That is very pretty. I have never seen that before. So, but that's really, really interesting that you have. And there's 2 more cases. Where are the 2 other cases you
We
said?
don't know. This was actually in a gas station.
Really?
Before it came to us on Route 84. It was in a gas station, and they tore up the area to put Route 84 through.
Right.
And this came to us. And I believe another case is somewhere on Cummins Hill Road, somewhere around here.
So
and
it's
the
still
third
local,
one,
it's
I
pretty
do not
local.
know where the third one. If anybody knows where Audubon's birds are, please let us know. We'd love to have the whole collection here.
Well, that's sometimes an interesting thing with doing these shows, because you never know what'll come up
True.
from it, or any other piece of history.
Roadside
that you
America
think-
thought these birds were quite interesting too. It got us a
Did
spot
they?
in their on their
Did
webpage
they?
and so on and so forth.
That's
Yeah, because it's not a thing you see every day.
And it's very interesting for the bird watchers. This is a
Yeah, I don't know if they would
very-
support the Audubon Society would support the way they did them in, but you gotta
Well,
sketch.
but it was for the sketching.
You know, try and get a bird to stay still.
Right.
Not gonna happen.
Right. Well, they're beautiful. So, we're going to shut this case
Yes, we
before
are.
more arsenic comes
What?
out at
Come on,
us.
stick your head right in there. Go
And
ahead.
we're going to head to another room, I believe, right? To
Sure.
see another special piece. So,
Okay.
Lori, I'm looking at this big wolf above us, and there's a little bit of wildlife in here.
Yeah.
So, tell us more what's in this case.
Well, this room that we're in actually is known as the camp room. But of course, without the history of camping, you would have to go back to the history of the Indians, which were, originally lived in teepees, so on and so forth. And the Indians that inhabited this area in Pike County, actually all the way to the Delaware Bay along the Delaware River, were known as the Lenape Indians. And they're a very interesting tribe. They were matrilineal, which means they listened to the woman, which is a good thing. And they had 3 clans that we know of. They were the turtle, the turkey, and the wolf. The wolf clan was right here in Milford, and mostly this area here. And then the other 2 clans took up residence along the Delaware River all the way up to the Delaware Bay. Lots of evidence that they were here. People say that who was the first settler in Milford or in this area, and they'll say, well, it was Tom Quick, but he was only the first Dutch settler. We know that many years prior to him being here, the Lenapes were here. So I call them the true first settlers, as they are. So we have some various items from them, their mortars and pestles and tools that they used, a dugout canoe, pelts that they would have worked with or used.
That's part of the canoe?
This is part of a canoe. They would take a big tree and burn it out and then whittle it into a canoe. So that would be their dugout canoe. Also tools and pottery sherds and things like that, drills. They worked with their hands and did what they had to do by using rocks or whatever they had to use to get the job done. So yeah, absolutely, they were the first residents here, and they were fine until the white man came along, and then it's the age-old story, what happens. So it's over land disputes. But in the Lenape religion, it's very interesting because they never could really grasp the idea of something being bought and sold. Not something like the earth. How could you own a piece of the earth? It's like owning a piece of the sky. So they were very religious in that respect. They believed the whole world was built on the back of a turtle, and that men and women sprang from trees that grew out of the turtle's back. So very simplistic, very happy until the Quicks come along and all this land dispute starts. And the walking purchase, famous thing that sent them all off running. A lot of the Lenapes, I believe, ended up in Oklahoma. Is that where they most of them reside now? And anyone that claims really to be of true Lenape nature from around here, I don't believe to be. There's been some controversy over that, but
They kind of left.
yeah.
Is there some of this? I know there's an Indian museum.
I've
down a
never
little bit
been
on
to that
209.
Indian museum. I would like to go, but I've never really, I don't know who they represent in there or what.
Right.
Yeah. I
I'd
know
be
they sell
curious to see if they
moccasins. I don't know anything.
Yeah, it's and I'm curious to see if they had any more of this as well. Are you still finding things in the area with this?
Most of the area that these things probably came from is part of the National Park Service. I know that the National Park Service has a plethora of items that they found over time that they, I think, keep in storage unit somewhere. So anything that they have unearthed in recent years kind of just goes into storage somewhere. I know there's no digging allowed and things like that in the Park Service, so you can't just go and try and find
so there
your
may
own.
be some things.
I'm sure
So-
there are. I mean, there was many excavation sites there through time. Mr. Kraft was famous for his excavations on this side and the New Jersey side, and he provided us with most of the information that we have about the Lenapes today.
It's very interesting.
It is.
Now I know also on the wall behind us we have something very interesting. I don't know if the camera can get over there in a little bit, but this is interesting because I think anytime you see anything with, again, personal, somebody's name on it, the dates, it's just really interesting. So
Pike
what's
County
this
has
wall?
an interesting history with summer camps. They still have them up and running today. I mean, we dread it sometimes. Oh, the camp kids are here, because they kind of take over our town in the summer, and they're all foreigners. We don't like that either, but that's fine. It's an exchange program.
Well, it's a beautiful place to be.
Absolutely.
So the camps it's just a great spot to put your child in camp.
Right. So, but we're talking about the counselors. So. It's not like the little 10-year-olds are out and about in the town.
Right. Just the counselors.
The counselors come out at night. But yeah, they infiltrate our area every summer, still to this day. But we could trace, the camps here back to the, late 1800s. And one of the camps was known as a pole bridge camp, which was around in 1900 to about 1935, I'd say. And it was in Matamoros, and we were lucky enough to come upon all their records from like 3 years. And going through them, we could not only match the pictures of the kids to their records, so we could chart them through their whole camp experience. So progress reports, and letters that they wrote home, or letters that they received, or any correspondence between the parents and maybe the camp itself. And it was interesting to match up their applications to their pictures, because you don't really get to do that often. You just have random paperwork. But in this case, it was very exciting to find, that you could actually match the picture to the boy and then chart him through his camp experience.
And you have their camp song.
And their camp song.
It's really interesting to see all the details.
And their
the dates.
brochures.
Yeah,
and
it's very
also famous from this area was Dan Beard, who founded the Boy Scouts. He had a camp in Lackawaxen, the Dan Beard Outdoor School for Boys, where they didn't allow wimps or mollycoddles. So,
very interesting.
Goes to show you. You could tell when a man's gone to that camp.
The museum, there's a lot in here, and really, if you're local and you haven't been here,
there's
really
a lot to
should
see.
come
There's
by.
something for everybody here. This room is kind of popular with the kids. Yeah. We have an exhibit about the Marines that they put together, the 909 Gung Ho Division, and we had a good time working with those guys, and they've been very good to us. They put our flagpole up out front. And we have a good relationship with a lot of other nonprofits and a lot of other organizations in town, which is important, because that's what we're here for.
Right.
We are, a community-based organization. We're here to help. We're here to provide you with information. Whether it's research, I know Ray and Miriam touched upon our library being open. Sure, we have an endless amount of pictures, photographs, archives, original documentation. As a matter of fact, on the table downstairs, I have the Brown file pulled. So we could take a look in there and see
if
what's
there's
in
any
there.
roots, right? Yeah. But I think if anybody has questions on something that they might think might have a piece of Pike history.
Absolutely. I mean, ledgers from old inns and we have old records or voting. And as far as research, we've been a good source for a lot of people. A lot of books have been researched here, local history. So we're a resource, I think, that not a lot of people know about. And I think we're trying to get the word out there that we do have these resources here. We have photographs, we have files, we have original documentation, books on the area, original manuscripts, so many things and there's so many different ways to go back. And we're here to help you. We'll help you with the research.
I think it really connects you with where you live and the history and how Pike County came to be. And now, what are the hours?
We are open year-round. We're open Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday from 1 to 4. We will be adding evening hours on Friday, so that'll be Fridays from 6 to 8. So if there's not a lot to do, and before you go to dinner, why not stop by the museum and see what we have to offer?
Absolutely. And again, the website, we mentioned it.
Pike County Historical Society.org. It's the longest website name in history, I think.
Well, Lori, thank you very much.
Thank you
for your time today,
Good to
and
see
at
you.
least just giving the local viewers a taste of some of the things that are in here, but really you could be in here for a while and just really enjoy it. So thank you again, and
You're welcome.
I hope everybody comes out to see the columns and see what is here and how it can tell you a little bit about Pike County. Thank you for watching the Legislative Report. I'm State Representative Rosemary Brown. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at the information listed on the screen. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time on the Legislative Report.